When you are a Fed official going before Congress, what exactly are you preparing for, and how is Jay Powell going to prepare for what could be expected to be a massive grilling from senators this morning?
Oh, I think Chairman Powell is preparing for two things. First, he's preparing to get his message out. Remember, this always starts with a prepared statement, and so I think he's going to use that to sort of lay his message and be very, very clear. And then, obviously, he's preparing for, as you point out, I think what could be a pretty tense hearing with questions around, inflation, obviously, front and center, the Fed moving very aggressively at its most recent meeting, and though it didn't get much notice in public, a monetary policy report that suggests perhaps even much more to come, using the word unconditional about its commitment to reduce inflation. So I think he's expecting a pretty tough set of questions, and hopefully, I'm sure you'll have the answers that he needs.
You've been behind those boardroom doors before. You were an insider there. I wonder how much strategizing could the Fed do right now to further tackle this problem, or do you think the Fed is doing just about all it can?
Look, I think the Fed is doing what it can insofar as it only has a couple of tools, 3 tools, and they're using all of them. First, they've been moving monetary policy, as you point out, aggressively and signaling more to come with this notion of unconditional commitment to reducing inflation. Secondly, their words are, I think, really quite consistent with that message across the board. With the notion of 75 basis points possible for the next couple of meetings. Again, historically high, historically aggressive moves. And then obviously they're moving the balance sheet as well. That third one, they approximate roughly the equivalent of a 25 basis point tightening. So I think they're doing all the things that they can do. The challenge, as Jay Powell points out, is that some of these matters are out of their control. I've been listening to your reports, Boeing, Toyota, others talking about supply chain issues that may last well into next year. Obviously, energy prices being driven by global forces. And so I think the challenge is, while they're attempting to do everything they can, as Jay Powell has said and others have, not everything is in their control. And that, I think, creates a very challenging situation for them.
I mean, Roger, if you look at the way things are shaping up right now, we talk about the types of questions Jay Powell is going to face. It was maybe 9 months ago. You and I both know that recessions are inevitable. Economies move in cycles. They expand and they contract. The worry right now has now tilted much more towards a story about a recession in the coming months, or perhaps maybe by next year. How exactly then do you square and tell that story to elected lawmakers when you know a recession's coming, but that it might not be the worst thing in the world if it does?
Well, I think the way people should talk about it is we see the great pain of inflation. Inflation is a hidden tax on many, many lower-income people, middle-income people. Constituents are complaining about it. The Congress has given the Fed the mandate to keep price stability. And frankly, they've done that because they know during these difficult times that there may be some pain. I think the other thing that Jay Powell will say is he has already talked about, a pretty narrow path towards a so-called soft landing. So he's talked about soft landing, soft-ish landing. He's talked a little bit about pain. So I think he's going to also remind people that he is trying to be very consistent and balanced in his message. I think he's going to attempt to avoid the recession word, but I think you'll hear things such as bumpy, pain, and importantly, this is the price we must pay to get inflation out of the system. And he's also going to say something else, which is, in order to have sustainable job markets, which is the other part of the Fed's mandate, they really have to drive inflation out of the system. So he's going to, I think, link it to, the dual mandate as well. All of that, I think, will be the best he can do. None of the lawmakers are likely to embrace this notion of a very, very slowing economy, maybe tilting into recession. But that's why you have an independent central bank.